I gotta admit, I pre-ordered Michelle Obama's book, and the reason being is I was curious what she had to say about her tenure in the White House as First Lady. Now, some of it was pretty simple to figure out that certain interviews she gave, she wasn't necessarily be upfront because she's presenting the image of a stoic, confident woman. But I know from the moment her and her husband announced, well, excuse me, when her husband announced that he was running for president, that she would come under blistering attacks because she's a dark-skinned black woman. And the thing is, we used to seeing white women, old or older, in the White House. We used to seeing the world look at everything through the eyes of white men and white women. Now, the thing is, Mrs. Obama came under attack by white women at first. Let's just keep it real. Then white men got personal, but then they got sexual. Then they got personal again. Then they got sexual. But white women always maintained an even kill hatred for her. Even when she was getting out of the White House, white politicians, white women that worked for campaigns or various committees or stuff during the parties, both sides got personal, called her tranny, said all kinds of things, made threats towards her daughters, attacked her daughters. Remember Bristol Palin and these different women over the years and whatnot. And when they asked Mrs. Obama about it, she sort of shrugged it off. But deep down, we know it hurt. As black people, we've all had these experiences. Now, granted, my mother, your mother wasn't first lady, but they still had those same experiences. It's just that by her being first lady, it was magnified 10, 20 folds. You know what I mean? But one thing I was curious about is when she do this book tour, number one, where was she started at? Okay, it was nice that she started in her hometown. Because a lot of people, myself included, think that her hometown got short-sighted during the Obama years. And I'll tell you what I mean. President Obama, before he became president, was senator. Before that, he was lawyer Obama. Before that, he was community activist Obama. He didn't go to the west side. He went to the south side because when people think of Chicago, they ignore the west side. They think everything happens on the south side. Yes and no. He went to Ardell Gardens. Anybody familiar with Ardell Gardens? I had a family years ago used to live in Ardell Gardens years ago, about 30 years ago, some years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Well, anyways, Ardell Gardens to this day has a reputation. And what happened was Mr. Bum decided, let me go to the worst of the worst, or what was soon to be the worst. Because if anybody knows Chicago history, Ardell Gardens is not that far from where Richard, what's his name? What's that white killer? Speck. Richard Speck killed the nurses back in the mid to late 60s because the Deering neighborhood's not that far. You'd be surprised how close to certain areas blacks lived even during that time. But anyways, he went in that area. He talked to a lot of single mothers or grandmothers or men that was unemployed. And he gained a reputation as a community organizer. And that was cool. But if you go back and listen to his story, he was trying to find himself. Because remember, President Obama did not grow up in a predominantly black community. He grew up in Hawaii. Now, I know people say, well, aren't those people of color? They don't look at themselves as part of the African diaspora, even though we know better. What does Paul Boone said? That Samoans, the number of Samoan blacks. But anyways, in Hawaii, there's still more of an Asian influence into and a white influence. And he had white grandparents. And everybody tried to make like his mom did this great job. She shipped him off to his grandparents while she went and was married and raised a daughter or chased around other dudes. Let's just keep it real. When they romanticize a book, like Chris Matthews loved throwing up about Obama father not being around. He's supposed to be a Democrat, or as I say, Demorat. But anyways, Michelle said in her own words when they eventually met, she thought he was smart, but she wasn't too impressed. He came at her, and the rest is history. But the thing is, he's accidental politician. Now he thought he could run against Bobby Rush. Now, mind you, Bobby Rush was a former Black Panther. He was best friends with Fred Hampton. They was right hand and stuff. And he comes to Chicago. He he overstepped and ran against Bobby Rush, which was a no-no, and he made a lot of enemies. Everybody in Chicago ain't feeling Obama. Even when he won, even though when they cried, they still in the background said, "We not treacherous he is." Now I know y'all gonna say, "Oh, Harvey, y'all just saying it because y'all jealous because he." No, no, no. I remember when he was running for office. I used to be a manager at one of the locations. He and I forget the guy that be on TV. I forget his name, light skinned guy. Every now pop up. They tried to come in. I'm like, you guys can't put that campaign up, and you know better. He shook my hand. I never thought anything else of it till I saw him again running for Senate. You know, and this time he took advantage of Jerry Ryan. If y'all don't know what Jerry Ryan is, 7 or 9. Played 7 or 9 on Star Trek Voyager. She was married to former state senator in Illinois, and Jack Ryan. He got caught. It was kinky. And you have to remember, Jerry Ryan had just got cast on Star Trek. She had did other TV shows. She did Dark Skies, but Star Trek was with name recognition, job security. And you know, in Hollywood, they got these clauses. And back in the 90s, nobody wanted to be associated with a sex club. Today, it's like a fucking badge of honor. But he would take a sex club, they would swap. They was kinky, you know. And her agent said, "You gotta get rid of his ass," you know. So it was a scandal. So Obama said, "Let me go run for it." You had Alan Keyes, who's a carpetbagger, I come in, and he didn't win because nobody knew who the fuck he was, except that he was leaned to the right and he talked shit about the black community. So Obama had that appeal because he was black, but also my white mother. And notice he mentioned that a lot because other campaigns usually don't talk about their parents a lot like that. They might say, "I had this upbringing, my working class family," but when white folk in Illinois found out, "Oh, he looked black, but he was raised by white, he is a white," oh, they felt sorry. Because I'm be honest with you, he would have struggled. He would have struggled because there's not a lot of black candidates that win, black men that win downstate. Okay, but anyways, without that type of name recognition and whatnot. So, anyways, he gets invited to the '04 Democratic convention. Cause for some reason, like I said, white folk love black folk when they find out they 100% batting for our team, or they know they're not gonna shake up the apple cart. He goes up. It's not a blue America or red, whatever that thing is. Everybody, and I'm like, Jesse Jackson gave a better speech. I've heard better speeches, but people was taken aback by him because he wasn't Reverend Jackson or Mr. Farrakhan or whomever. Because they don't want to have nothing to do with those type of black men that's get in your face saying, "Hey, this is what my people need." Now I remember when this happened because I remember the night I was in my barracks because I was swimming back and forth to a basketball game. I never forget, it was in my barracks. So what happened was, and I never forget this. I remember them hyping him up to the point where his books, the one he had wrote about his father, his family, they had put him back out at the PX. Because at that point they was hyping him up, and I remember I said, "What if this dude do become president? It'll blow my mind." I said, "That ain't gonna happen." Now I can't. When I got hurt, came home, and still talking about Obama in '07. And at the beginning of the year, Obama said, "No, I'm not gonna run." No, I mean, no, '06, he said, "I'm not running." Around that time, that was when Reverend Wright had the incident with Shahan and Fox. And I said, if Obama do run, they're going to throw this back up. They're going to blacken them. They're going to niggerize him. They're going to go after. They're going to try to do everything to destroy him. And this would be the test for Obama. So what happened was he decided in January of '07, they went downstate to Springfield. They was going to run. Now they had promised Tavis Smiley they was going to do a State of the Black Union, the things that Tavis used to do. But they happened to choose that date, which I think they did on purpose, in my personal opinion. Because Obama, if you go back, Obama did not want to be seen doing a campaign with anything with black folk. Black celebrity that white folks like, cool. But anything is with the black community, because you don't want to be seen as the black guy, which I don't understand, because white folk and others don't hide they culture or they associations. So, anyways, what happened was he goes on Larry King and he says, Larry King asked him one question: "Do you racism?" Obama said, "No." when I heard him say that, I remember I was downstairs in my family, with my the family old house. I go up the stairs. I said, "Dad, did you hear that?" He said, "Yeah, you got to say." I said, "No, you don't." I said, "Why do we always got to conform or bite our tongue?" I said, I will not support him because he's denying the other now. Because around that time, the Jennings thing was going on with the nooses and shit. And at that point, everybody thought Hillary was a cinch. Her or the guy that got caught. I can't think of his name right now. I'm forgetting his name. Oh shit, his wife died cancer later on. Oh, I can't think of his name because I ain't heard nothing from him in a minute. But anyways, I had issue with Obama because when Obama would go out in public, he would deflect from the race issue. But then they started talking about Reverend Wright all of a sudden on ABC and CBS, and they was taking his comments out of context. And I'm like, it's obvious that they edited because the background, look at the background, the people changed their background. And plus, the one thing they said, no, not God bless me. Everybody knew what he meant. Because there have been a lot of people have said that same thing or said or done worse. But because he's a black man, they had to make it out that somehow he's not playing to the angels or the United States and blah blah blah. And Obama had to say, Reverend Wright's like an uncle you don't agree with. Right then I said they finna throw him under the bus. Now I mentioned all that for a reason, and remember this part of the story because I'm gonna be back to it in just a second. But I need to address something else. Last night, Oprah came back to Chicago. She sat on the stage at the United States with Mrs. Obama and talked about Mrs. Obama's book, Becoming. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If anybody ever heard me give my commentary, y'all know I hate Oprah. No, I despise the bitch with a passion because she done so much damage to the black community. And a lot of y'all sycophants are slowly coming around and realize how dangerous she was. People like her and Michael Jordan pictured too, both of them. And let me tell you why. I grew up on the west side of Chicago. And the west side of Chicago is often overlooked. Okay? Even the people on the south side, fellow blacks, they look down on because you know why? The last group of them, those migrated from the south between 1954 to 1972 were looked down upon. They mean my father's and my mother's family was looked upon as not being smart blacks or capable blacks. No, that's bullshit. And a lot of people don't know that Dr. King tried to come to Chicago, and with people he went to school with shitted on him. They want him to come to Chicago. They on the south side, so he had no choice but to come to the west side. And by him coming to the west side, it illuminated what was going on in the city. But people don't realize when Dr. King was assassinated on April 4th, 1968, the very next day riots started on the west side. Madison, Pulaski, Roosevelt, parts of Cicero, parts of Ogden, and the streets in between went up in flames. Some of them was set by looters, and a lot of it was set by the owners of the business and the owners of the buildings. Because remember, Dr. King was calling out slumlords and stuff that wasn't reinvesting money back into the properties and whatnot. Now, from that time on, the West Side has been tremendously neglected. They let the criminals run wild. They let landlords or these mortgage companies let these properties go into disrepair. So what they do is former Mayor Daley start tearing down buildings unnecessarily. Well, first of all, I'm jumping ahead. Oprah, when she came to Chicago, she worked for WLS Television, which is Channel 7. And the show was AM Chicago. And because there was no other black woman in America hosting a daytime show, she was unique. Sorry about that. Oprah worked for WLS Television, and she was hosting the show called AM Chicago, a local talk show. Now, as I said previously, I said that she was an oddity. There was no black women or any blacks, to be perfectly honest with you, host a daytime show, let alone local talk show. So black folks who already knew about the show started tuning in because they wanted to support her. And she got a lot of support, and they made her the permanent host. Because before, Oprah was working as an anchor and a field reporter. So the people at King World took notice that in Chicago they got high rates. This is praise for Oprah Winfrey. Now let me break something down to y'all. Oprah Winfrey, anybody could do what Oprah did. Anybody ask common sense questions. They're reporters. They're trained. Ask who, what, where, and why. But because there was no other blacks at that time, or black women in general, and the media seen every day, they said we got a niche. Because they realized there was a lot of blacks watch the show, especially in the Chicago area. So because she worked for AM Chicago, she's under contract, they had to make a deal with ABC that the show still stays in Chicago and it stays in that time slot. And from because it was at a 9 a.m. time slot all the way to the day it went off the air. Now, you have to understand, as Oprah got bigger, her name got bigger, she's able to pull in more celebrities. And the tone of her show changed from Ricky Lake type. And people forget, her show was sort of like Ricky Lake and Horaz, all them shows back in the day. The Ku Klux Klan, your wife is cheating, blah, blah, blah. People forget that talk shows actually had audience participation. Not like today where just the people in the talk show, the panel talk, and y'all clap when they tell you to clap. Or laugh when they tell you to laugh, or go, ooh and ah. You know what I mean? Because they don't want to hear your opinion because they know that, excuse me, that they trying to tell you how to think. So right about 1991, I can't remember exactly when Oprah brought a Harpo studio, I think somewhere in the 80s, she bought it. But that part of the West Side was pretty much dead. You had housing projects over there. You had a lot of meat factories that were still hanging on over there. A lot of warehouses. You had prostitution. You had a lot of drug deals. You had things going because they called the area Skid Row. At least Madison, part of Madison, where the Chicago Stadium at, where the United Center now stands, was considered Skid Row. But you had Whitney. I'm sorry for his coughing fit again. You had Whitney Young, the magnet school. I had a cousin aunt went there, and Michelle Obama went to Whitney Young. Okay, so in that area, so any black person who grew up in the West Side familiar with that area. But slowly but surely, people was coming in there, and around the area they cleaned it up just a little bit, but still, it wasn't a place that you want to go live at and live around if you're looking for your first home or you looking to go to a safe area. I'm just being honest with you. And that's not to say that people in the neighborhood was bad. It was neglected for so many years. And then when the riots, they really was able to. The city was really able to neglect it. But then around the same time, you had Michael Jordan them just about to hit that championship stride. And you have to understand, white folk got tired of driving from the south suburbs or Indiana or the western suburbs or Wisconsin to come into the city of Chicago to watch Oprah and watch Michael and the Bulls. You have to remember, a lot of these people moved out of Chicago during the 50s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s. What they call white flight, okay? If they didn't go up on the north side of Chicago or far on the south side where it was still a large enclave of whites at, they left the state. Excuse me, folks. So what happened was these two, because of the money they was generating, the popularity that people was coming to the west side. But mind you, the Chicago Stadium and Harper Studios, or the United States and Harper Studios, how you want to look at it, because they was all in that area. So what happened was when I was in high school, homes started mysteriously burning down. They started lowballing people that owned the homes outright. You mean men and women who paid a large sum of money for these homes. These crooked ass real estate agents years ago bust their ass to get the American dream, and the city and them start neglecting things like garbage pickup, street repairs, sewer repairs, tree trimming, like you name it. And what happened was, after a while, they said the neighbors changed, let's get out. They start tearing down buildings. I can't remember. I don't know when they tore down the building with Chicago Black Panthers, where Fred Hampton was once located. It was right off Madison and Western. And it's certain images, pictures you see, you recognize landmarks. And like I said, even though a lot of them buildings are gone now, I remember how it was. Now, They hid behind Oprah and Michael, and Michael and Oprah saw it when they kept coming into the city, and they didn't give a damn. And there were people complaining that, yo, man, they gentrifying. When Oprah and Michael gonna say anything? Michael can't care. He lived up there in the northern suburbs. Oprah lived downtown. She had a house in Indiana. Or in the summertime, she left Chicago, went to whatever she had and whatnot. And then as soon as it got closer to her show out there, she bought a house in California. And when her show went out there, she bolted. When Michael Jordan felt that he didn't need nothing from Chicago, he bolted. These motherfuckers gonna come back when they have to. Michael Jordan only came back to Chicago when he was showing them about using his likeness in the ad. You know, other than that, Michael Jordan got nothing to do with Chicago. Oprah don't have nothing to do with Chicago. She gave an interview where she threw Chicago, and then she criticized black folks from Chicago, if in the black community in general. Access Hollywood about, let me see, it says 06, about 12, 13 years, no, yeah, about 12 years now. Chicago gave a lot to these Negroes, but that west side of town, they saw it. If you go on the west side now, they built the medical district up. UIC they've been tearing down shit. They done pushed a lot of black folks out of there. They slowly constricted them to a certain part of Chicago. They pushed them further down towards Oak Park, and Negroes ain't going to Oak Park fucking around. They pushed them down from Fullerton on down. They squeezed them to the expressway, because if you go across the Eisenhower Expressway, they gentrified from Roosevelt on down, and the Mexicans took over a lot of the space that blacks have had. So thanks to Oprah Winfrey and Michael Jordan, a lot of gentrification went down, and a lot of black kids wrote to Oprah. You was an anchor. You know, can you give us some advice? Can you help us out? She had nothing to do with us. She bypassed all the public schools in the area. She went to Catholic high schools right around the corner from where I went to school at. She had nothing to do with us. So to see her and Mrs. Obama at the United Center last night, it rubbed me wrong, because, yo, you're not that far from where your studios used to be at. You're in the house that Mike built. Matter of fact, her last show, who she standing next to? Michael, these two handkerchief head Negroes. They got nothing good to say about the black community, who are silent on issues to the black community. And I really find it something that Oprah went to Georgia campaigning for Stacey Abrams, but when she was in Chicago, she had nothing to do with black politics. Only time she got in politics because of Obama, because as I said in the first part of this commentary, because he's half white, because of his white background. Oprah liked you if you got something that appeals to white folk. If you suspect anything black, she had nothing to do with you. Remember, she, Tamron Hall, Roland Martin, Soledad O'Brien, Geraldo Rivera, and a few others threw Reverend Wright under the bus. Remember that. Oprah used to go to Reverend Wright Church. Tamron Hall, even Roland a couple of times. Because Reverend Wright Church was the place to be for blacks to stay in the know, or people to say, well, they still down in the community. Oprah used Reverend Wright because she knew she was getting criticism from black America. Especially black men called her ass out on shit. Now, looking back at it, now y'all see how Oprah really gets down. We've been on point. Y'all see how Michael Jordan get down. They have nothing to do. I remember when Michael Jordan was playing, me and my friends went down into the Chicago Stadium because they used to go park underground, and we would stand outside waiting to get autographs. You know, B.J. Armstrong, Scottie Pippen, them they came out and did their thing. The Scott Williams, Stacey King, they did their thing. You know, Craig Hodges, Michael Jordan couldn't be bothered. He's like, fuck y'all. He said, fuck y'all. So when these motherfuckers come back to Chicago and I see people come from other parts of the state or outside, oh, Mrs. Obama, oh, Oprah Winfrey, I don't feel good because they have contributed to that gentrification on that side of town. Now people say it was bound to happen. Nah, not necessarily. Because you had to have a reason why. And these companies hid behind these two, and they knew it. Not vocal, but that's why when people start talking about Oprah telling black folk, she got a lot of nerve, but she had nothing to do with black politics. Remember, Oprah came to Chicago, what was it, 82, 83, around that time. When Harold Washington was running, she didn't say shit. When he re-upped, she didn't say shit. On her show, did she have Minister Farrakhan on her show? He was then to Chicago. Did she have Reverend Jackson on the show? I don't believe she had Reverend Jackson on the show, but she had everybody else on her show. So for last night to see her talking to Mrs. Obama, it bothered me. But getting back to Mrs. Obama, I read the book, and I read little inserts. It wasn't a great deal said about Reverend Wright, but Mrs. Obama threw him under the bus again. Let me tell you something. I've defended Mrs. Obama. I've been critical, not as critical of her as her husband, because she wasn't the president. She was just the first lady. But you went to this church with this man. He married you and your husband. So you had to like his preaching. Because I highly doubt that he started preaching when he'd been preaching just then. Because if he's a black pastor, we know how black pastors preach. We know they can keep it real. This man had white folks that come to this church and spoke to this man, have had gay people, and he had everybody across the spectrum. But Sean Hannity and Fox News and ABC and CBS decided we gotta take this nigga down. And Barack Obama got scared. But the thing is, y'all love enough to baptize your two daughters. But think about it. Now all of a sudden Obama want to go run president. We don't need Reverend Wright anymore. The man was hurt. That here it is, you threw him under the bus for political gain, insulted the man, and he was quiet for a long time. A lot of people forget. He was quiet for a long time. But Obama kept, he's like an uncle you don't agree with. Then you had people of X-Rock, Pluffing them. All these people, spokesmen was talking shit. And even when the video came out, black folk, like the Roland Martins and them, they could even sit there and say, Reverend Wright kept it real. But see, y'all started seeing, oh, we can make it. If he mess up Obama, one dude mess up Obama. This man served not one but two branches of the United States military. We got a current president who never served, and then the other day he was afraid of getting wet. He wouldn't even honor those veterans, the dead, deceased veterans, but used those veterans as a political football when you want to go after black people or question our patriotism. But I digress. In the book, she said he's cantankerous, inflammatory comments. Inflammatory by calling out white supremacy. So when those gays was yelling at your husband and you, that wasn't inflammatory. But Reverend Wright speaking up for his people, that was inflammatory. Remember, Tamara Hall went to his church too. She left Fox 32 in Chicago to go to MSNBC and to get points of Chris Matthews at MSNBC, NBC. She threw him under the bus. You know, Reverend Wright, he was showing out. Soledad O'Brien, yeah, Reverend Wright made it worse. No, he kept it real. Geraldo Rivera tried to go after him. And every now and then they throw his name out there. The Ricketts family owned the Cubs. They even tried to bring him up during the re-election when Obama ran for the second term. They went after this man's daughter. They questioned where he lived. I'm sitting up here like, really? You even had people in black collars. I remember Whoopi Goldberg told Reverend Wright need to shut up. But then after a while, I guess she took up for him. She realized what he said was no different than the other black person. I mean, it's no different than what Dr. King said. But in her book, she's still like, Reverend Wright was an issue. Here's the same media that criticized you and your husband, your daughter, your mother-in-law, your brother, your sister-in-law, your husband's sister and her family. And anybody associated with y'all or the black community at large, but you still say he's cantankerous, his vile rhetoric. What was vile about calling out white racism? Now in your book you talk about you was hurt by the racism. You said Donald Trump did this, could have got me and my family killed. But yet Reverend Wright told y'all that y'all out here pandering. And Reverend Wright said Barack Obama is a politician. Look how Obama threw Reverend Jackson to the side. And y'all took his side on Reverend Jackson. Look how Obama threw Farrakhan to the side. Y'all took his side on Farrakhan. But the thing is to sit here and mention Reverend Wright. And Reverend Wright been quiet. But when I read that part right there, I said, you know what? I can't respect Michelle Obama anymore. Because you grew up in Chicago. You grew up on the South Side. You got two black parents. Well, your mother still was here. So now you're gonna say this guy was a problem. He wasn't a problem. No, y'all let David Axelrod, David Plouffe say he's too hot. He's radioactive. When Obama gave that speech about race, he threw the black community on the bus. If y'all don't even go back and listen about that speech on race, listen to it closely. So now Mrs. Obama want to write a book. That's what the first ladies and former presidents do. Then she will do a book tour. But she knew she had to come back to Chicago because people in Chicago were like, wait a minute, you got to start here from the South Side. How you gonna play this? But to let Oprah do an interview after Oprah shitted on Chicago recently in the interview, after Oprah had nothing to do with Black Chicago, but it was Black Chicago that made her. Then she goes sits in the United Center, the house that Michael Jordan built. Michael Jordan had nothing to do with Black Chicago or the Black community. To go on the West Side and watch all them faces, black and white, in the 90s. I'm like, all these white folks don't live in the city anymore. They do. They live on the north side. They live in the various suburbs. Or they coming back to the gentrified part of Chicago. But then they show some kids, black kids from Gary, Indiana, and they teach. Come out from Gary, Indiana. But the brothers and sisters live in that neighborhood. How many of them was able to go to the United Center and watch a game? Or the Chicago Stadium once white through the Bulls started winning? They started jacking up the prices. When they would come home, they see an eviction sign, or they wake up in the middle of the night, homes on fire, or the city is condemning their property, or their parents made poor business choices or poor decisions, and they get lowballed at their homes. Go over on the west side now. It's condos and these supermarkets and all this other shit they was never in the neighborhood for. Then you see who's working in it. It ain't us. It's everybody else but us. But for her to sit there in her book to still throw shade right, she wrong. This is why a lot of black folk, this is why some brothers and sisters didn't vote Democrat or go out and vote. Apathetic, because during the Obama years, you fucked over the black community. You ignored the black community. The Obama's been over for white folk, and they still treat them like niggas. But when I read the excerpt out of her book about Reverend, I'm like, really? You would think she probably would say, me and Barack made a decision about Reverend Wright in which we regret, or we wish him all the best. We meant no harm. No, you still threw shade at him. Now, any of y'all read the book, read it. Y'all might have a different interpretation, but no, I read it, and I'm like, wow, that's how it is, huh? Reverend Wright was going out to give these speeches. They kept putting the cameras in his face. They kept taking his sermons out of context. It took a white pastor, Father Michael Pfleger, to come to his defense. Farrakhan wanted to come to his defense, but he knew what would happen. When Father Pfleger checked them, and they tried to go out there, he said, you can do it all you want. And then the Catholic Church here tried to check Father Pfleger, the former cardinal that died. Black community said, wait, whoa. Old boy changed his tune, didn't he? Let me say this again. I'm disappointed in Mrs. Obama. But at the same time, I shouldn't be shocked. These Negroes get money, they get fame, it has nothing to do with them. Like, I kept telling friends and family, the Obamas ain't coming back to Chicago. Yeah, they got a Chicago house, but they ain't coming back here. They just want to keep that house here so when they build that library, they finna gentrify all them people out of there. They finna destroy that old park over there, the Jackson Park, put a fucking presidential library, and Tiger Woods come to Chicago, partner up with them. I said all them Negroes gonna get pushed out of the neighborhood. And I'm gonna tell y'all something, getting pushed out to the suburbs, depending on what suburb you go to, you might want to check that. Right now in Chicago, you got a Hispanic woman who ran for state office. Now she's going to run for mayor. Chicago turned into a white Hispanic town again. I'm telling y'all right now, they pushing people out. And you can thank Oprah Winfrey, your Michael Jordans, and your Obamas for this shit. But the thing is to sit there and throw people under the bus when you knew that was being attacked. Now here's Michelle Obama talking about what Donald Trump did to her. But y'all forget what they did to Reverend Wright and his family and our community. Obama has nothing to do with Black Chicago. It was Black Chicago that helped him. They gave him credibility. It was black men and women across this country came out, stood in long lines, got threatened, voted. But every time you see the Obamas, pictures of who they with, they was around white folk. They go to various white talk shows. How many black people do they sit down? Yeah, Mrs. Obama, she go to school. Even the commercial, she got the thing with the girls. She got an Arab and white girl standing next to an Asian girl, but the black girl on the end. And they not American black girls. They foreign born. Foreign. Look at that commercial she got with the females. Even when she's on Today Show, look who she had around her. See, the Obamas were Hollywood, but it was actually Hollywood in the White House. Like Dick Gregory questioned Obama, like, y'all remember he still have white. Mrs. Obama love her husband. She gonna follow her husband. So y'all can stop asking about her running for president. If she even decide, I wouldn't vote for her. Simple fact is, the people that had your back, the people was close to you, you threw under the bus. The man that married you and your husband, that baptized your children. She said, "Oh, we stopped. We didn't go to this church as much." So you try to associate, say, "Well, we had nothing to do with his speeches." You mean tell me, not any times y'all went to church, you never hear Reverend Wright give any of those speeches? I find it hard to believe. Even Sean Hannity made a point. He said, "No, even if they say it's true, you mean tell me you didn't know what his sermons were? You didn't have any inkling what his sermons is about?" I talk about how I think I had a crush on Ms. Obama, but I lost it. When I sat there and I read, I'm like, wow. I knew she had to mention Reverend Wright in the book because it would be hypocrisy if she never mentioned it at all. Now it wasn't a whole lot written about him, but that part was little things that was mentioned was very telling. We as black people gotta stop romanticizing certain blacks. These Negroes forget where they come from. They forget that they have to give power to white supremacy. They want to talk about anti-Semitism and homophobia, but what about the racism that blacks have dealt with for hundreds and 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 hundreds of years? They had the White House, they had the bully pulpit, all these police shootings. Obama was the president when that water crisis went down in Flint, Michigan, and didn't do shit. Mrs. Obama too busy dancing with Beyonce, and Mr. Obama got Jay-Z around, a former drug dealer that sold poison, helped destroy parts of our community. You praise them, but you shit on the people that actually got legit issues, that can talk and speak to our people. I told y'all, I went on Reverend Jackson radio show. It's been about 10 years now. 9 or 10 years. And I remember his daughter saying that my father was hurt. I remember she said my father was hurt. Barack Obama really used a lot of black folk in Chicago to get ahead. This is another reason why black folk got issue with mixed ethnicity blacks. How's motherfuckers like that? Now, don't get me wrong. I call out the racism aimed at the Obama family, but the Obamas don't get a pass. And Mrs. Obama don't get a pass anymore for me. You're going to sit back there and talk shit about Reverend Wright and not talk about how y'all played him and how your husband disrespected him and that speech threw him under the bus. Then there's something wrong with you, Mrs. Obama. Then again, you might be the typical hood rat black woman from Chicago. And I'm not saying all the sisters from Chicago are hood rats, but got a little education and she better than everybody, still got a little hood rat in her. And the people from Chicago, male or female, know exactly what I'm talking about. One of these so-called uppity hood rat Negroes.